and the paramount ruler of Yewa land to our midst today, His Royal Majesty Oba Kehinde Olubele Kabiyesi, the most recognized, and you're warmly welcome. I announce the arrival of Her Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Ogun State, into the hallowed chambers of the Ogun State House of Assembly. Her Excellency, Engineer Nohimot Salako Oyedele, you're recognized and you're warmly welcome.
It is still live telecast of the presentation of Ogun State 2022 Appropriation Bill
let's
at the
maintain
Ogun State
order.
House of
Mr.
Assembly
Speaker is
in
coming in
Okemoson,
now.
Abeokuta. It is to announce the arrival of Mr. Speaker, leading
DAPO,
His Excellency
ABIODUN,
the Governor of Ogun
NFR.
State into the hallowed chambers for this program to commence. Let's join them.
Let's take the national anthem. Arise, O compatriots, Nigeria's all obey, to serve our father's land, with love and strength and faith. The labors of our heroes past shall never be in vain. To serve with our minds, one nation boundary, freedom, peace and unity. Open prayer. Almighty God, ruler of heaven and earth, we beseech thee to inspire and guide all of our actions and counsels, so that all of us will continue to walk in the path of justice, love, and charity to one another. Help us with thy grace, O Lord, to do only those things that will promote the happiness, prosperity, and unity of Ogun State and Nigeria. Ogun State anthem. Ishaya, Ishaya, Ọmọ Ogun, Ishaya. Elédùmarè iṣẹ́ láyà o, ìṣẹ́yà. Ẹ̀yin ọmọ Ògùn ẹ ṣe gírí, iṣẹ́ pọ̀ fún wa láti ṣe. Ọmọ rere kì í ṣaṣẹ́, ọmọ Ògùn kì í ṣọ̀lẹ, ẹ bẹ̀rẹ̀ gbẹ́rù o. Please let's all be seated. Roll call.
Roll call.
Our guests should please respect the chamber by stop making noise.
Honorable Abeokuta Yusuf Temitope. Honorable Ademuyiwa Adeyemi. Honorable Adeyanju Adegoke Olushesi. Honorable Wahab Aruna Abiodun. Honorable Yusuf Sharif Abiodun. Honorable Lamidi Musafiu Olatunji. Honorable Amosu Yusuf Olawale. Honorable Yede Jiganiyu Alani. Honorable Adams Isaac Olushola. Honorable Kadiri Oludare Oluwatibileyin. Honorable Fasua Abayomi Johnson Otumba. Honorable Duwale Kemi Olaito. Honorable Shobukola Olakunle. Honorable Shonaye Damilola Kayode. Honorable Lemide Oludaisi Olusegun Architect. Honorable Balogun Akim Agbolade. Honorable Osho Solomon Oluwaseyi Barrister. Honorable Abdul Bashir Oladujoy. Honorable Adeniro Ademola Adeyinka. Honorable Mojota Modupe Onikepo Mrs. Honorable Ajayi Bolanle Latifat Mrs. Honorable Abiodun Sylvester Niyi. Honorable Akingbade Jemili Adigun. Honorable Ajibola Sikiratu Olawumi Mrs. And Honorable Bello Atinuke Mrs.
Table, please excuse Honorable Mojota Modupe Onikepo and Honorable Adeyanju Adegoke Olushesi. Distinguished colleagues, please let's go through the vote and proceedings of our last plenary. I'm right there on page number 1. Page 1, any comments, observation, correction? I move on to page number 2. Bullet 3, Roman 1, Bullet 3, Roman 2, Bullet 4, 5, 6, Bullet 7, and 8. Distinguished colleagues, I've currently gone through the vote and proceedings of our last plenary, and I found the content to be the true record of the plenary of that day. So today's activity can go on. I saw them. Governor's message. Distinguished colleagues, I received this letter dated 24th of November and addressed to the Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, Ogun State House of Assembly, Abeokuta, a request for the approval of the revised 2022-2024 medium-term expenditure framework MTEF by the State House of Assembly. The State House of Assembly's approval of the State's 2022 to 2024 midterm expenditure framework MTEF of 7th October 2021 has led to further extensive engagement with various government agencies and other stakeholders that culminated at the second two-day Treasury Board meeting of 8 and 9 November 2021, respectively. Essentially, the outcome of this extensive engagement prompted the executive to review the earlier approved 2022 to 2024 medium-term expenditure framework (MTEF) because of emerging macroeconomic realities that will determine the optimal fiscal performance of the state within the medium term. Arising from the foregoing and conscious of the provisions of Section 7, 1 and 2B of the State Fiscal Responsibility Law 2020, I wish to inform the Right Honorable Speaker and other members of the State House of Assembly that the State has revised the 2022-2024 midterm expenditure framework (MTEF) of 7th October 2021 as follows. Initial approval for 2022, 405,572 million naira. Revised proposal 2022, 350,735 million. Initial approval 2023, 474,906 million. Revised proposal for 2023, 370,026 million. Initial approval of 2024, 535,211 million. Revised proposal for 2024, 399,627 million. The attached document contains further explanation in respect of the identified changes. Going forward, the prompt consideration and approval of the revised 2022-2024 State Medium-Term Expenditure Framework (MTEF) by the honourable members of the State House of Assembly will not the completion of further budgeting activities within the framework. Thank you, and I accept the assurances of my esteemed regard. Very sincerely yours, Prince DAPO ABIODUN, MFR, Governor of Ogun State. Announcement. Today, the Ogun State House of Assembly, the elected representative of the 26th constituency in the state, are here now and ready to receive the budget of year 2022 from His Excellency the Governor of Ogun State as earlier announced. Personal explanation, petition. I hope the petitioners are not here today. Orders of the day. Presentation of year 2022 appropriation bill. Permit me to quickly flip through my opening remarks. The Excellency the Governor of Ogun State, Prince DAPO ABIODUN, MFR, the Deputy Governor, Engineer Naimo Salako Oyedele, the Chief Judge of Ogun State, former governors here present, former Deputy Governors here present, the Deputy Speaker, Ogun State House of Assembly, Honorable Balogun Akim Agbolade, all former speakers and our seniors that are here, other distinguished honorable members, all honorable members that are here from the National Assembly, the senators, etc. that are here, the Secretary to the State Government, Head of Service, the Clerk of the House, Head of Legislative Service, members of the State Executive Council, Chairman of Statutory Commission and Boards, heads of security agencies here present, permanent secretaries and general managers, our dear party chairman, the chairman of the authentic APC in Ogun State, elders and leaders of our party, members of the business community, members of the Fourth Estate of the Realm, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I am delighted to welcome you ever into this chamber, our able governor, the silent worker and the silent achiever, to this another occasion of budget presentation in line with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Let me assure you that this House will, as a matter of commitment and concern for the progress and development of Ogun State, continue to work in partnership with your administration for the success of our party in the administration of the state. In the light of that, sir, I want to reassure you that as usual of this House, we shall subject your presentation to legislative crucible and then do the needful as appropriate. It is our tradition to always pass our budget within the time frame so that we can fall in line with international financial standards of having a budget that will run from January 1 to December 31st of every year. That I can assure Your Excellency and the member of your team. On that note, Your Excellency, I invite you to present your budget to the good people of Ogun State through the elected representative from 26 constituency in the state. Mr. Governor, sir. May I persuade the president to stop making noise there?
Her Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Ogun State, Engineer Noimot Salakoyedele, the Honorable Speaker of the Ogun State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Olakunle Oluomo. I'd like to appreciate and recognize all former governors here present, His Excellencies General Seidu Ayodele Balogun retired, His Excellency General Ekundayo Opale retired, His Excellency Colonel Daniel Akitonde retired, His Excellency Rear Admiral Oladeyinde Joseph retired, His Excellency Commodore Kaude Olofimoyin retired, His Excellency Navy Captain Rashid Raji retired, Your Excellencies, former Deputy Governors here present, the Secretary to the State Government, Mr. Tokunbo Talabi, the Head of Service, Dr. Nafiu Aigoro, my Chief of Staff, Alhaji Shaibu Salisu, the erstwhile speakers of the Ogun State House of Assembly that are here present, honorable members of the National Assembly here present, I'd like to particularly recognize Honorable Adewumi Onanuga, Honorable Jimoh Ojugbele, Honorable Kolako Oshunsoya, all former National Assembly members here present, former Secretary to State Governments and heads of services here present, members of the Ogun State Executive Council, the authentic chairman of our great party, APC, Chief Yemi Sanusi, chairman of statutory commissions, boards and parastatals, all captains of industry that are here, all members of the body of the permanent secretaries, all our service chiefs, our royal majesties. I'd like to appreciate and recognize His Royal Majesty Oba Dr. Babatunde Ajayi, FCA, the Akaribu and paramount ruler of Remoland, who also doubles as the chairman of the Ogun State Traditional Council of Obas, His Royal Majesty Oba Dr. Adedotun Aremugbadebo, CFR, the Alake and paramount ruler of Egbaland, His Royal Majesty Oba Dr. Kehinde Olugbenle, the Olu and paramount ruler of Yewaland, all other royal fathers that are here present, local government council chairmen, our party chairmen and eminent party leaders, religious leaders, professional bodies, community leaders, labor leaders, National Youth Council, our Iyalojas and Babalojas, all members of various groups and associations that are here present, all other distinguished and eminent guests, gentlemen of the press. Good morning to all of us. It is with a great sense of duty that I stand before this honorable House for the third time to present the third full-year budget proposals for our dear state. The first full-year budget proposals, as contained in the 2020 Appropriation Bill, was presented Thursday, 20th November 2019. Our hope then was that the process of the Building Our Future Together agenda that we commenced in 2019 will go full throttle in 2020. That is exactly what we began to do in January 2020 before the coronavirus struck in February, disrupting everything, including our way of life. Amongst drawbacks, the pandemic constrained our revenue earning capacity, thus forcing us to eventually review downwards the budget size in July 2020. We are grateful to God Almighty for seeing us through all the difficult times. We are equally grateful to President Muhammad Buhari for all the support we received from the federal government through this battle. Appreciation goes to all our frontline health workers and other responders who are still helping us to curtail and contain this pandemic. Mr. Speaker and honorable members of the Ogun State House of Assembly, in the outgoing year, our administration remained committed to recovering from the shock of the pandemic and be on our feet again. The good news is that we're indeed getting back on our feet, and the economy is steadily recovering to its flourishing glory. And now that we're on our feet again, it is the right time for us to work together with the same resilience of the human spirit. Therefore, the main task in year 2022 is to increase our pace of the implementation of our development, as already designed and encapsulated in our administration's Building Our Future Together agenda. Year 2021 budget was titled Budget of Recovery and Sustainability. Today, I stand before this honorable House to present the appropriation bill for year 2022 of our dear state, which is meant to sustain and improve on the gains so far made and return us to the momentum of building our future together agenda. Therefore, we have christened this budget the budget of restoration. Mr. Speaker and honorable members of the Ogun State House of Assembly, I express once again my appreciation for the tremendous support from the members which we have enjoyed since the commencement of our administration, especially towards the passage and final approval of both the 2020 and 2021 appropriation bills, as well as the revised 2022-2024 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal paper. Whilst I present a summary of the budget proposals for the coming year, the Honorable Commissioner of Finance and the Honorable Commissioner of Budget and Planning will in due course provide the full details of the budget proposals for the next year. Recent developments. In order to bring development closer to the people and deepen our democracy, our administration successfully conducted the local government elections in Ogun State in July this year. These elections have been widely adjudged as the freest and most transparent elections ever conducted by the Ogun State Electoral Independent Agency. By that election, we have also demonstrated that we are inheritors of a proud legacy of best democratic ideals, principles, and practices. The elected local government chairmen have since been sworn in and have taken charge of their respective local government areas. Let me once again use this opportunity to appreciate the electorate and all other stakeholders for their respective roles and contributions to the successful conduct of that election. To leverage on our proximity to Lagos State, the fifth largest economy on the continent, in the course of this outgoing year, the Governor of Lagos State and I signed a memorandum of understanding in respect of the Lagos-Ogun Joint Development Commission. This synergy is aimed at taking advantage of respective comparative advantages of the two states and harnessing them for the mutual benefits of the two states and their people. This will facilitate socio-economic development in the two states, allow a collaborative approach for growth and urban development. It will also cover the development of urban sustainability towards improvement of boundary towns, roads, waterworks, mass transit, revenue and taxation, including pay remittances, and security, intelligence gathering and sharing, amongst others. As a responsible government, we appreciate the immense roles and contributions from the informal sector of the economy. We also know that a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. For these reasons, our administration has embarked on fast-tracking the health insurance scheme to the informal constituents of the state towards achieving a universal health coverage. Stakeholders meetings have been held with trade unions and artisans and associations for their buy-in to the scheme for their benefit and well-being and that of their families. Those traders and artisans who have signed in will enjoy the packages after 60 days in about 146 primary and secondary healthcare facilities across the state. Despite the economic constraints, our administration has made modest progress within available limited resources. Some of these benefits have been well demonstrated through our people-oriented projects, which include road construction and rehabilitation across the 3 central districts of our dear state, healthcare delivery, education sector revitalization, affordable housing projects, agricultural development, digital and technological revolution, better sports development, and improved welfare of our workers. Administration has also reinvigorated the security architecture and improved on ease of doing business to attract more private sector investments. We also recognize the importance of land to investment promotion, and fortunately for us, Providence has blessed us with a vast landmass that is also abundantly rich in mineral resources. Therefore, about a month ago, precisely Wednesday, 27th October, we launched the Ogun State Land Administration and Revenue Management System, OLAMS. This is to provide a contemporary online solution for use by potential land applicants with a view to streamlining the process of land purchase, administration, and management in the state towards increased revenue generation. Let me reaffirm that we are committed to the transformation and continued development of our dear state and increased prosperity for all our people. We will continue to pursue this vigorously by formulating policies and implementing programs that are people-friendly through our 5 strategic pillars of the Shire to actively drive key economic goals, which are real sector growth, job creation, poverty eradication, and increased investments. Performance of the 2021 budget. Since the beginning of this year, I must say that as a government and people, we have begun moving very steadily towards full recovery from the effects of the pandemic. Our budget credibility, as determined by performance in year 2021, was better than what we had in the history of our dear state. Judging from our internally generated revenue, we were able to achieve 80% LGR as of 30th September of this year. A brief detail of this indicates that out of the state budget size of 121,806,876,775 naira and 63 kobo, this year a sum of 73,674,877,599 naira and 72 kobo was generated as at Q3 September ending, translating to 80% proportional performance as against 44% proportional performance recorded in Q3 2020. This indicates an improved performance owing to the digitization of our processes and introduction of our central billing system, amongst others. A further breakdown reveals that out of a total estimation of 338.61 billion projected as total funding, comprising of expected inflows, 121.81 billion as internet generated revenue, 58.87 billion as statutory allocation and value-added tax, and 139.53 billion as capital receipts respectively. As at September ending Q3 2021, the actual total funding was 177.02 billion, representing 70% of the prorated revenue target of 253.96 billion. Key achievements in 2021 fiscal year. During the year, our administration has implemented several priority projects which cut across our dear state developmental pillars. I'm happy to report that much progress has been made on several fronts, and administration has delivered on key policies, programs, and projects in these priority areas. Infrastructure. On the agenda of building our future together, administration assured the people of the state that we will continue to be fair in the provision of infrastructure in all parts of the state. We promise that no part of the state will be developed at the expense of another. We believe that infrastructure development has a multiplier effect on the economy by enabling the smooth flow of human and material resources within and outside the state. Road construction and rehabilitation takes a vital position in our infrastructural development. For example, the completion of Ijebu-Ode-Ekpe Road in Ogun East Senatorial District has been of immense benefit to all and sundry plying this route. The road serves as a major catalyst for industrial activities in Ogun and Lagos states, aiming and taking advantage of the Ijebu-Ode-Ekpe-Lekki corridor. The Aton-Lusada-Agbara Road in Ogun West Senatorial District, which we flagged off earlier this year and due for completion in 2022. This road serves the Agbara Industrial Estate, which is arguably the biggest industrial hub, not only in Nigeria, but the entire West African sub-region. That road, at each of its ends, is also a link road to two international borders on the West African corridor, the Diogo International Border and the Semi-International Border. Of note, too, is the reconstruction of the Shagamu Interchange Abeokuta Road. Apart from the fact that this road is a major entry into Abeokuta, the state capital, it also links the two senatorial districts of Ogun Central and Ogun East, respectively. I'm delighted to know that in 2 years, we have recorded giant strides that are visible across the length and breadth of our dear state. Administration in the last 2 years has reconstructed 34 roads spanning over 270 kilometers. Within the same period, another set of 41 roads have benefited from rehabilitation covering over 322 kilometers. Thus, we have worked on over 600 kilometers of rural, intrastate, and interstate roads spread across the 3 senatorial districts of our state, in line with our commitment to an even development of the state and the completion of inherited projects that have the benefit to our citizens. It's important to note that even as some of these roads are federal government roads, we have been compelled to reconstruct them because our citizens do not care about the ownership of these roads. They geolocate their pains that they experience at these points of contact. Administration is committed to bringing relief to our citizens regardless of the cause or source of this discomfort. In furtherance of commitment to infrastructural development, we have developed a multi-modal transportation master plan for the state that will integrate road, rail, water, and air transport systems. The implementation of the master plan has since commenced. We are developing an Appropolis with the construction of an international cargo airport, which will be an ecosystem of agricultural value chain comprising of the special agricultural processing zone facilitated by the African Finance Development Bank, the African International Quality Assurance Center, which is being set up and constructed by the African Export-Import Bank, an Air Force base, a customs training center. Our ultra-modern mass transit bus system will also be launched very soon. We've taken delivery of high-capacity new buses that are Wi-Fi enabled and much better than conventional buses, with a view of providing our commuters a safe, affordable, fast, and pleasurable experience on our roads. The infrastructure pillar of our agenda includes, but is not limited to, roads, multimodal transportation system, but also energy provision and digital economy infrastructure. We are determined to harness the potentials of our technology-savvy youth and the status of our state as the education capital of the nation in digital economy. This has informed several initiatives, including the establishment of the Ogun Tech Hub and the recent flag-off of the Ogun State Digital Economy Infrastructure Project. About 5,000 kilometers of fiber optic cables will be laid across the state to provide easily accessible and affordable broadband internet connectivity across the nooks and crannies of the state, including our health and educational institutions. This digital infrastructure will bridge digital divide, support industries, as well as other initiatives in health, telemedicine, education, virtual learning, amongst other benefits. The availability of energy is like oxygen to our vision of live, work, and play in Ogun State. This has informed the establishment of the Ogun State Energy Board. We have signed a few memorandum of understanding with energy companies for partnership to generate power for our state. Our target is to achieve a 24-hour uninterrupted power supply to Abeokuta, the state capital, and a number of major towns and cities within the shortest possible time frame. Social welfare and well-being. The social welfare and well-being pillar embodies several projects and policies to deliver specific benefits in areas of health, housing, security, environment, and waste management, to name a few. Socio-economic development of the state and individual prosperity can only be achieved with a healthy citizenry. Thus, we have designed and are implementing several multi-faceted initiatives using the hub and spoke model at the heart of our healthcare delivery system. In this model, primary healthcare system is at the core, with two other layers of secondary and tertiary health institutions, respectively serving as higher levels of care and referral centers. We have embarked on massive provision of facilities across all primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions for them to discharge their assigned roles with greater effectiveness and efficiency. In the last 2 years, we have invested heavily in our health infrastructure and human capital development. No fewer than 100 primary healthcare centers have either been rebuilt or newly constructed and adequately equipped in line with World Health Organization (WHO) standards. Our target is to have at least a functional primary healthcare center in each of our 236 wards. We have concentrated on the PHCs because they are the closest to the people and are the foundation for our hub and spoke healthcare delivery system. Our secondary and tertiary health facilities are also being given adequate attention to offer referral health services. The number of ambulances in the state has increased from 5 to more than 30, with provision of our 24-hour ambulance service across the state. Furthermore, we have restructured the Ogun State Health Insurance Scheme to address identified lapses and make it more efficient and affordable. The provision of health infrastructure, equipment, and other initiatives are complemented with incentives to motivate the workforce. The incentives include upward review of salaries and allowances of health workers, provision of health insurance for about 7,800 health workers, and recruitment of over 300 health personnel across various cadres for the Olabisi Onabanjo University Teaching Hospital, which was the first time in over 20 years. In addition, there's ongoing recruitment of additional health personnel for other health facilities across the state. Only yesterday, the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency released a list of top 5 performing governors and government in mass vaccination. Ogun State was ranked the first place. Shelter is one of the basic necessities of life. It has continued to be one of the most expensive assets and investment owned by individuals. Though it consumes a huge capital outlay, the return on investment is equally gratifying. For these reasons, amongst others, the housing program has been very ambitious and aggressive. In fact, the most ambitious in the history of our state. The Ministry of Housing and its major implementing agencies, namely the Ogun State Housing Corporation, the Ogun State Property Investment Corporation, are fully engaged in the provision of affordable housing units as well as medium to high income houses across the state. Already, over 1,000 units have either been completed or at various stages of completion. We are aware that with the increasing population, there's bound to be pressure on the few available housing units. We owe it a duty to put roofs over the heads of our people in Ogun State. We are determined to provide at least 2,000 housing units by the year 2023 across the state. We have gone about 65% into actualizing that. While Prince Court at Kenta has already been commissioned, the level of work at other sites like Kobakwe, Ijebu-Ode, Shagamu, Ilaro, and Ota will convince doubting Thomases of our resolve and determination. We also appreciate that security is critical to the success of all other initiatives of our development pillars. We recognize this from the onset, and we took bold and decisive steps to ensure the provision of adequate security of lives and property. We restructured and reinvigorated the Ogun State Security Trust Fund with new legislation and made it private sector led. This was followed quickly by the initial provision of over 100 patrol vehicles, 200 motorcycles fitted with communication equipment, thus facilitating timely information sharing and communication among security agencies and their formations while enhancing operational effectiveness and efficiency. As a demonstrable display of our resolve to ensuring security in the state, we launched the Ogun State wing of the Southwest Joint Security Outfit, also known as Amotekun. Amotekun is to complement the efforts of the existing security agencies. They are equipped with patrol vans, motorcycles, and all other logistic support. We also deployed a Joint Security Intervention Squad, JSIS, a special task force that comprised of the military, the police, the civil defense, and our hunters to work with us and our CDAs and other community stakeholders to quell the hardest farmer crisis in some parts of the state. Arrangements are in top gear to relaunch the Operation Mesa, a joint patrol that includes the Army, Police, Civil Defense, SSS, and others. Also, in the wake of curbing the wanton loss of lives and property on our roads, we had procured necessary gadgets for the smooth operation of our men of the Traffic Compliance and Enforcement Agency, which included motorbikes, helmets, refurbishment of tow vehicles, amongst others. All these coordinated initiatives have yielded the desired results, with our state being adjudged the most secure state in the country. May I use this opportunity to thank all the security agencies and community leaders for their cooperation and support in achieving this feat. In the same breath, let me warn, no part of Ogun State will be a haven for criminals and criminality in whatever form. Let those who think they can come into Ogun State with criminal tendencies have a quick rethink. Ogun State will never be a home for criminals, whether big or small. We will smoke them out, arrest them, and hand them over to the swift hand of justice. Education. We are proud inheritors of unmatched legacies in education. Our administration cherishes this as the education capital of Nigeria. Our administration is determined to deepen and extend its heritage and restore lost glory. However, at inception, this proud legacy in education had significantly eroded, with Ogun State's education ranking among states in the country on a downward trend. To reverse this, we declared a state of emergency on education and initiated several multi-dimensional policies and programs that addressed all the elements in the education ecosystem, including but not limited to the teachers, learners, administrators, parents, guardians, and infrastructure. Besides our achievements in the education sector in 2020, this year we have achieved, amongst others, the rehabilitation of over 956 schools. We have approved 200 million as annual state education intervention fund for the development of infrastructure in state-owned tertiary institutions. We have approved for the rehabilitation of internal and access routes to our tertiary institutions. We have approved for purchase of buses and other necessities for our tertiary institutions. We have approved scholarships for outstanding students in all Ogun State tertiary institutions. We have approved for the payment of bursaries to all Ogun State indigents in Nigeria tertiary institutions. We have approved for the construction of building projects in all state-owned tertiary institutions through counterpart funding. We initiated the Ogun Teach program, which has commenced the employment of 5,000 teachers in phases, and I'm sure that many of them have started receiving letters of employment. We have ensured that our teachers, as vital stakeholders in the system, are part of our inclusive governance, policy formations, and program implementation. This is consistent with the fact that they are at advantage positions to provide us feedback from the children who are our future. This allows us to appraise and replan for a better future of our dear state. Today, it's our joy that the teaching profession has been given a lift in our dear state. Our teachers are professionals, and our decision has never hesitated to treat them as such. We have facilitated holding of workshops, seminars, and other training programs for teaching and non-teaching staff of the state schools to enhance their efficiency and productivity. We have witnessed significant feedback of the success of our approaches and programs in the development of our education sector through the recent exploits of our young academic laureates. Ogun State contingent won 11 laureates for our dear state in different categories of awards in the areas of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Ogun State Institute of Technology, OGTech, also won for our dear state the best compliance institution in Nigeria to the tune of 75 million naira from JAM. I must also mention that was bestowed with awards as the most education-friendly governor by ANCOPS in the Southwest, the best governor in the education sector by the National Parent Teacher Association. All these give an assurance that the future is indeed bright. This achievement is a further confirmation of the status of our dear state, not only as the education capital of Nigeria, but in fact, the intellectual melting pot in Nigeria. Youth empowerment. Youth empowerment and job creation are embedded in all our programs and policies. Some of our projects in infrastructure development, housing, education, and agriculture are deliberately implemented through direct labor to provide job opportunities for our youth under our economic sustainability plan. Third-party contractors are mandated to engage our youth in the catchment communities for the execution of these projects. In realization of the vision of administration to promote sustainability of the state economy, a notable number of our youths have been recruited into the state civil service, with large numbers of people being empowered in different crafts. Administration has also embraced sports as a means of empowering the youth, hence the numerous victories accomplished at the just concluded National Sports Festival in Edo State. Our youth have continued to benefit from, will continue to benefit from the Ogun State Digital Infrastructure Program. We have digitized the entire education sector for optimal performance. All our schools will soon have free internet access. Agriculture. The A initial acronym is our priority pillar. and it is in line with President Muhammad Buhari's grow what you eat and eat what you grow policy. It also provides for the raw materials, which is fundamental to industrialization and manufacturing. In addition to the provision of an enabling environment for investors to pitch their tents in the state, we have set a roadmap alongside relevant strategies through public-private partnership and intervention program to expose farmers to linkage with input market as well as off-takers. The success of our agricultural pillar can easily be appreciated from the impact we have made in the last 2 years. I'm delighted to highlight some of our key success stories. We have created 35,584 jobs through linkage of farmers, including youth, to agricultural opportunities such as the Central Bank of Nigeria's Anchor Brewers Scheme and other interventions. We have facilitated 700 million naira loan credit from Central Bank under the Anchor Brewers Scheme for 10,000 farmers. Our broiler project, from which 9,000 youths benefited, with each beneficiary making an average of 180,000 naira per cycle. We have facilitated loans as well as seedlings for over 120,000 hectares of farmland for rice farmers. We have fast-tracked the joint venture with the International Fund for Agriculture Development IFAD value chain project. We have constructed and maintained new fish ponds and tanks and assisted fish farmers in stocking fingerlings. We've empowered over 200 beneficiaries of the Fadama Graduate and Employee Youth Scheme with over 75 million naira in grants, amongst others. We also won the location of the special agro-processing zone, which is being facilitated by the African Finance Development Bank, into our state. This serves as a major hub for industrial cassava, poultry, agroforestry, and farming in our state. We've also facilitated the establishment of the integrated farm estate and Gari packaging plant and a 200 trainee soil testing program with the National Agricultural Land Development Authority, NALDA. We are determined to take full advantage of the vast arable land available to us and use agriculture to further boost our status as the industrial capital of the nation, whilst providing employment and wealth creation opportunities for our teeming youth. Public service. We recognize the centrality of the public service as the engine room of the government. Toward this end, we will continue to accord the deserved importance to their welfare through prompt payment of salaries, pensions, promotions, training, and capacity building. Ogun State is one of the first few states to fully implement the minimum wage and will continue to pay as and when due, despite the obvious positive of funds. We are also clearing the backlog of inherited pension liabilities. The ongoing promotion exercise is another demonstration of our commitment to staff welfare. In addition, we are intensifying our efforts to create the conducive work environment, provide tools and training to bring out the creativity and professionalism of our public servants. The theme and priorities of the 2022 Appropriation Bill. Right Honorable Speaker and other distinguished honorable members of the Ogun State House of Assembly, I now proceed to the 2022 Appropriation Bill. In line with our decision strategic imperatives and implementation roadmap, the 2022-2024 medium-term fiscal strategy of this administration is hinged on 5 main development pillars. Ishaya. As part of preparation and in our commitment to development, we held 3 town hall meetings to give voice to our people and shape our priorities. In 2022, we will continue to accord priority attention to completion of existing projects, projects with revenue potential, projects consistent with priorities articulated in the state economic development strategy, projects that can enhance employment generation, parameters and fiscal assumptions underpinning the 2022 appropriation. Mr. Speaker and other honorable members of the Ogun State House of Assembly, the 2022-2024 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper set out the parameters for the 2022 appropriation bill. The state government estimates. Total state funding is estimated at 350.7 billion in 2022. This includes Ogun State Internal Revenue Service (OGRS) estimates of 56.3 billion, and other ministries, departments, agencies estimated at 96.87 billion, totaling 153.17 billion. Statutory allocation, i.e. FAC and VAT, is expected to be at 73.01 billion, while capital receipt is estimated at 124.56 billion, i.e. internal and external loans, including grants and aids. Planned 2022 expenditure. The aggregate expenditure of 350.7 billion is proposed for the state government in 2022. We have been able to achieve a 51% capital expenditure in view of the need to drive our developmental objectives. Recurrent expenditure. Personnel costs. In 2022, the personnel cost estimate took the largest portion of 75 billion under recurrent and is allocated to paying salaries and allowances in ministries, departments, and agencies. Public debt charges. We remain committed to meeting our debt service obligations, specifically to attract capital investment into the state economy. Hence, we have provided 28 billion for this in 2022. Overhead costs. The total overhead cost of MDAs and government-owned enterprises is projected at 51 billion in 2022. Capital expenditure. Physical capital expenditure. An aggregate sum of 170 billion is expected to be available for physical capital projects in 2022. This is an increase of 10 billion over the 2021 approval of 160 billion to chart our economic recovery growth through investment in physical projects that will create an enabling environment for investment, employment, and trigger redistribution of resources. The capital expenditure in 2020 remains focused on the completion of as many ongoing projects as possible, as well as the commencement of new ones. We have also made efforts to ensure equity in the distribution of these projects and programs in the proposed budget. In the coming weeks of budget defense by HMDA, the State Assembly will be provided with the list of some of the most critical projects which we must work collectively to ensure they receive adequate funding. Until projects reach completion, they do not deliver the dividends of democracy that the Ogun State citizens rightly deserve. Stabilization Fund. A total of 7 billion is provided for transfers to the Stabilization Fund to insulate the position of the state towards unprecedented activities or economic shocks. Highlights of the 2022 capital projects in line with our Ishaya pillars. Key physical capital expenditure in the 2022 budget includes infrastructure, which is namely ICT, power, transport, industrialization, 82 billion. social welfare and well-being, which is health, housing, environment, physical planning, special needs, 86 billion. Education, which includes early childhood, vocational, technical and tertiary, 56 billion. Youth empowerment, 6 billion. Agriculture, 15 billion. Enablers, that's general public service, public order and safety, stabilization fund, judiciary, legislature, pension and gratuity, 106 billion. Our key allocations in the 2022 budget in line with functional classification as follows. I'll just summarize this. Education, 56 billion and 71 million.21 is 16%. Health, 35 billion and 73 million.51 is 10%. Infrastructure, 77 billion 775 million.77 is 22%. Other details will be as provided. Conclusion. Mr. Speaker, and all other honorable members of this 9th Ogun State House of Assembly, as I lay before you the 2022 Appropriation Bill today, we must remind ourselves that this event is another symbolic representation of our joint mission towards the realization of Ogun State of our collective dreams. We have done it before. We can do it again. The challenges that lie ahead of us in the coming year dictate that we should all join hands. There are grounds to cover, but even at that, we must also make our people see our commitment and sincerity. While we should not stand and promise them that we will do everything, we should also do everything that we promise. That is the essence of this domain. That is the character of this administration. We are a promise-keeping administration. As I thank this Honorable House for its continued collaboration and cooperation within the ambit of separation of powers, let me also solicit for the unflinching support and cooperation of this Honorable House to enable us collectively to deliver on our promises in the coming year. I've directed all commissioners and accounting officers and heads of agencies to be personally available for budget defense. Let me re-emphasize that the people of Ogun State expect that the 2022 budget will contain only implementable and critical projects which, when completed, will significantly address current structural challenges of the economy, improve the business environment, and accelerate economic recovery. Let me use this opportunity to appreciate all our people for the trust and confidence they repose in our administration. We appreciate the invaluable support and cooperation and prayers of all stakeholders. Our gratitude goes to all our political class, our revered royal fathers, our elder statesmen, our religious leaders, our developmental partners, our non-government organizations, our market women and men, and indeed our public servants. We also thank our critics as our supporters continue to motivate us. Our critics are also challenging us to do more. That is the whole essence of democracy. I thank all of us. Mr. Speaker, distinguished honorable members of the House of Assembly, it is the sense of responsibility and service that present the 2022 Appropriation Bill of Ogun State for your consideration. I thank you for listening to me, and God bless.
Of presentation of Ogun State 2022 Appropriation Bill, and we have just listened to the Governor of Ogun State, and the presentation is done right now. We have heard from His Excellency The 2022 budget, third budget of restoration, will actually take care of so many social infrastructural projects in the state, completion of so many ongoing, and the issue of debt servicing was also given appropriate attention, as it's a very critical part of the budget. Mr. Speaker is now on.
For the prudence put into the preparation of the budget, I want to attest to the fact that I witnessed and followed the engagements with the people while preparing the budget. And just like I said earlier on, we shall subject the budget to legislative scrutiny and do the needful as appropriate, as we normally do in this House. Excellency, sir, the intendment of the drafters of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is for both the legislative arm of government and the executive to work together for the progress of the state. On that note, sir, I have the mandate of my people, the 26 members of this House, including myself, to appeal to you, sir, to use the title of this year's budget, Budget of Restoration, to restore our honor and dignity at home by approving our constituency allowance project. Constituency allowance project is supposed to be an annual thing, as is applicable at the national level and the world over. We are counting the clock and the calendar, and we are moving into our third year. Constituency project is that little toilet that a member is able to do in the remotest area of his constituency. It is that market stall that honorable member can easily do at their own rural of the rural. While we appreciate all the efforts you are doing at the state and local government level, we are appealing that you should please restore our honor and dignity at home, so that we also can point to one or two things that we attract to our constituency through constituency development project. Similarly, sir, I have the mandate of all the members of the immediate past 8th legislature, led by Right Honorable Suraj Ishalade Kumbi, to remind Your Excellency of the severance allowance of the members of the 8th legislature. I must tell you, sir, majority of the members of that legislature are part of this administration. They were part of us at their various homes. And people still recognize them as honorable members, particularly that they are still in APC and are still carrying one problem or the other to them. If we're able to give them their severance allowance, they will be able to do more for the people on behalf of our government. And that will, as a result, enhance the status, popularity of our government, sir. We look for a more robust and beneficial relationship within your office, sir, and the House of Assembly. Our relationship should be based on reciprocity. As much as we do everything possible, that anything you bring to this House, we look into it critically and we do the needful. We want to appeal to you too. Those things that bordered on enhancements of the performance of the members of the legislature should take a pride of place in your dictionary. I thank Your Excellency for coming, and I thank all our distinguished guests, cabinettes, the leaders of the party, members of the State Council, members of the National Assembly, all guests entirely, and the media. I thank you for coming, and I want to assure you that in due course, you will hear from us. Thank you very much. On that note, I hereby pronounce and order that this session goes on recess. Sergeant Atan, please lower the mace. Okay. So before we do that, let me make this announcement. This is what we should do, we shall do, sorry. I will lead the governor through the inner chamber to the photograph foyer. So distinguished colleagues, give our guests the opportunity to go out through this way while you go with me like this to the photograph foyer with the governor and members of the executive. This house proceed on recess. I rise.
As the Speaker pronounces the recess for the House, the formal presentation of the 2022 budget has been completed. And from the remarks of Mr. Speaker, he has also tabled one or two items from the House to His Excellency the Governor of Ogun State, while reiterating reciprocity of actions from both sides of the government. It is budget of restoration, and it is hoped that it will actually reflect on the socio-economic activities of Ogun State. Remy is still here. He will talk to you in Yoruba.
Bóun gbogbo ṣe lọ lẹ́tí rí yìí nílé ìgbìmọ̀ aṣòfin ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn níbi tí gómìnà ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn ọmọọba Dàpọ̀ Abíọ́dún ti ṣe àgbékalẹ̀ ìlànà àbádòfin ètò ìṣúná fún ti ọdún 2022 tó ń bọ̀ lọ́nà. Àkórí ìlànà ètò ìṣúná náà òun náà ni àdápadà, èyí tí ìgbàgbọ́ àti ìrètí sì wà wípé yóò kan ẹ̀ka pátá fún ìdàgbàsókè àwùjọ ìpínlẹ̀ Ògùn lápapọ̀. James Yansunu pàápàá wà níbí láti sọ fún yín ohun gbogbo ṣe lọ sí.
Abasi Remi yeko basi bo mi ko so mo aimate gan ogotan ahovi Dàpọ̀ Abiodun koze akwezan hoti to wema of 2022 ton donu kan na o sendo ho Ògùn yi matin tantan fie afokle na o sendo ho gbevile po meho he o hodule akwezan hoti to wema of 2022 ton lo we do in konando akweza hotito rihen gole ton mikomo le eyido mi hode do to shwe gan nukuto sin kome enanyo zanami podide ejedo me bai
Hello,